When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey there, everybody. We are here, and Rob says he can't hear anything, so hold on.
I can't hear. It was the thing. It was just blasting my brains out.
Oh, well, then I just turned it up to blast your brains out even more.
Wasn't much brains left to blast out. But,
I couldn't hear what you were saying you couldn't hear, so maybe we both had that issue. So anyhow, is it a better volume now?
There's no noise inside, so I can't tell you.
Okay, so now I've turned it down to nothing. There we go. So welcome to Sunday, folks.
A veritable rock concert for a minute there.
This is how our world is going right now. It is amazing with Rob and Amanda.
Boy, it is a nasty November day outside.
Well,
yesterday
tell people to be grateful that they're in some other state where the sunshine's shining. Because
yesterday wasn't so bad. It was cold, but the sun was out. At least today, it's just blah.
This is, the states have state colors, they have state flowers, they have state
Today's
cookies.
Ohio, stay in the house and make brownies day.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go outside.
It's stay in and make the state cookie. Is that what you're saying?
Make some brownies, because there's no sense in going outside. It'll just drag you down.
I think that really the battle is between Ohio and like Washington, Seattle-based folks, as to who's got the gloomier, doomier, foggier weather. And right now, I think Ohio's winning.
Yeah, well, they live in whatever they call it, they
get to see the whales.
They live in a rainforest. We, on the other hand, just live in a geographical crappy spot.
I'm telling you, we live in the.
We have the Ravenna Arsenal was put here in the 40s because this place is the cloudiest place on the planet for them. So during the war, they couldn't fly over and look at things because of the fact that it was so cloudy all the time. And so we chose to live right here under the cloud cover.
We did. And I can't say I chose to live here. I can say that I bloomed where I was planted, and my parents chose to live here. And since they didn't decide to leave,
well, that's what they tell you, is you're supposed to choose wisely when you're picking parents. So
I didn't. Well, I picked well. They just picked poorly, something like that. I don't something. So folks, I'm going to do a shout out for assistance. If there's somebody that's in my circle or somebody that's listening and is a Facebook expert. Keep in mind that I am old.
Amanda isn't.
Exactly. So I have created a page on Facebook for Amanda Suffolk.
And then immediately lost it.
Yes, it kind of went away. So so there is a page. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll find a link to this new page that I can't even tell you. It's Amanda Suffolk, great choice for NRA Board of Directors. So obviously you can tell that means I'm running for Board of Directors. But
if you could find it.
If I could find the page. So I made it and I populated it with all this really cool stuff. So I was
never to be seen again.
I was really busy.
It's like a time capsule. It'll show up eventually.
In 30 years. Since I need it in February, 30 years is going to be a problem. just saying. But so it's got links to some old articles. It's got links to interviews and podcasts and different things. And with my intent to keep populating it, because what I don't want is, you all know me and you know that I've been doing this for a while and I sort of know my stuff, but I need 50,000 votes from NRA Life members.
You should get a hold of Hillary, and she can show you how to do that.
She can show me how to do Facebook or find 50,000
votes overnight. It happens at 3 o'clock in the morning.
They'll show up. Got it. They'll come to my mailbox. I don't need petition votes. I need votes when the ballots come to your house. When the ballots are mailed to you, folks, then and I don't count them, but I'm looking for that. So I'm trying to put together. You're laughing at me. It's painful right now. It really is. I mean, just about the time that I thought I had it, because I have multiple Facebook pages that I play on and I manage, and and then I get somebody who's like 21 who says Facebook is dead and I ought to move on, and that hurts. That hurts right in the
But
feels.
then he finds out that all of his friends are old and they're all on Facebook, so he has to go back on the Facebook.
I'm thinking that Facebook is where the NRA Life members live, right? I don't think I'm going to find them on TikTok.
That's
unless they're
we can't figure out how to work TikTok.
Unless they're looking for a cure for sciatica or something. But yeah. So mail-in ballots are not the most secure. Well, I got to make sure that you even know who I am and your friends know who I am, so that I can get my 50,000 votes, so I can be on the board of directors. So that you're going to hear about this for a while. But if somebody knows and wants to message me and give me some guidance and advice, or walk me through it, or tell me where to poke at the page or something, because I'm clueless.
You should make some stupid videos, put them on YouTube, and that way then everybody will know who you are, and then they'll forget why they know who you are. They just know that.
No, they won't forget. They won't forget. They won't forget. They won't remember my name. They'll only remember that chick is stupid.
Right. If you got like a video of you doing like a 2.5 gainer off the back of the pickup truck into the driveway or something, that'll get some views, and then
it'll get a lot of views. But I think that would hurt also. So the hurting part is I try really hard not. We're back to I'm old, and we try really hard not to bruise me. So there is that. Amanda has rhythm like Steve Martin has rhythm. Remember the movie The Jerk? I have rhythm like Steve Martin in that movie. So no one wants to see that. Though I have to say, Squirrel, we're heading off in a different direction. There's some dude on Facebook that dances in his kitchen. Have you seen that?
I tried not to see that kind of stuff.
He had his clothes on. It wasn't that, but he was.
I'm more about the little kids sword fighting, very good, or they play some kind of an old Greek ukulele, like a champion. That's like
okay.
I'm amazed at how good some of those kids are at what they can do. So,
yeah, success on Facebook is purchased, is what Pete from Gun website says. It may be. It's a sad state of affairs, Pete. It's a sad state of affairs. So, my favorite videos on like Facebook and YouTube is Emmanuel the emu. Have you seen Emmanuel?
I've seen her. She's telling them to
stop pecking the camera. Don't, Emmanuel, stop. Emmanuel, stop. That seems to be that was been my favorite lately.
Well, that one and there's a real old one where little kids like Linda. That one's a funny.
Listen, Linda. Yeah. So those are kind of my world right now.
Timeless, I think, is what they call
that, between Emmanuel and the little dude telling Linda to listen. Well, anyhow, so now you're completely filled in with what my. Oh wait, I have one more. Epiphany. One more squirrel to talk about. If I could give you some advice, it is do not pick two paint colors that are very, very close to one another, one to paint the doors and one to paint the walls. Because later when you have to repair the paint because you did something to the wall, we won't talk about that, but you have to repair the paint. Now you can't tell what paint is what paint. And so when it's wet, it looks like it's the wrong paint. So then you went to the other paint. And so now I have this big blob of
So why don't you paint on the can like door D for door and like, W for wall?
You mean like mark it and write on it?
And that way then down the road you would see that this big swirly W
is all better. It is now marked that way. I'm just giving people guidance and advice because I bought some color that was called burlap reed. It was really cool green, and sort of. And so now I just have to repaint all of the things that I painted.
That's why the wall should be green and the door should be orange or red, so you know the difference.
It's inside the house. I'm not.
Oh, well, whatever. It's still know the difference.
I have not taken style and color advice from you for years because.
Well, it would be prudent to not take. So I got a strong whatever attitude about all of that.
Right. You're like, does it look clean? Is it neat? Okay, we're moving on. So anyhow, whatever. Those are the adventures. And then maybe I'll have Facebook works out well for doggy rescues. I don't think it works good for politics or business. That's good advice, George. That's really good advice. So when we come back, maybe I'll tell you about the snapping turtle little baby that we found that was adorable as all get out. But don't touch him because they bite. We'll be back right after this.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back. So, let's see. I'm getting some advice from folks, so I want to read this to everybody. This is about my my race for the board of directors for the NRA, and it says, consider a daily post on your journey to the NRA board. Answer questions, respond to concerns on a daily basis. Schedule the days you can't do it live that will create momentum and an authentic view of your path. Well, that's very good advice. So what I've done right now is, for some reason our name tags are flipped when we pop up a thing. So I'm Rob Dude when we pop up something to read on the screen. So for those of you who are listening via radio, we also are on-demand live TV on OpsLens channel. So you can find us there, Roku, Apple, Fire Stick, Apple TV, all of that. And so some of our listeners who are watching live using Facebook or YouTube are actually commenting, and Twitter, they can comment from there. And so a little bit of all of that gives us a little bit of feedback. So you too, if you're just listening via the radio, if you want to tweet and you do hashtag EOTT for Eye on the Target Radio, but EOTT, then our video producer can see it. But because of that, it sometimes gives us some guidance, some advice, and some things that we can pop out and read, or squirrel. So there's that. So I want to tell you about this baby turtle I found yesterday. Did you see it?
No, I didn't, but they're a lot like baby rattlesnakes. They still got no sense of humor.
None at all. This was a snapping turtle, and I'm used to seeing them that are like the size of a
dinner plate and up.
Dinner plate or a charger or something like that. And this one was the size of a $50, and he was adorably cute and had a really bad attitude. So when you see a baby hissing at you, it's not good. It's like, get the gloves, because don't touch it. Just don't touch it, because however big its mouth is, that's the part of you that's going to be inside there. so it was amusing. So if you want to, Google baby snapping turtles, because they were adorably cute. Absolutely adorably cute.
The old ones are not cute at all. They kind of look like dinosaurs.
I know.
Usually they got like moss and crap hanging off.
This one
of
looks
them.
like one of those cartoon dinosaur, things where the babies are cute. But
the old snap turtles look kind of like Fetterman.
Is that how nature keeps everything alive? Is they make the babies really cute, and so people take care of them because they're just adorably cute, and then later when they get all big and ugly, is that what happened with you?
Could be. I look better now than I did when I was a kid. I was a dork when I was a kid. Now I look like Santa Claus on the off season.
Now, when you were 2, 3, 4, you were adorably cute. After that, you turned into all elbows and knees. And
a giant head like
you looked like
Charlie
a grasshopper.
Brown. Only thing I was missing was a yellow shirt with a stripe on it. No.
You looked like a grasshopper because it was all elbows and I would have kept it and loved it and had a buddy forever till it ate you. That's all I've got to say. Till it ate you. I tried to pick one up one time for my mother to make soup, and it bit.
A lot of times you can get them in the car, but getting back out of the car is a little tricky.
No, I got it in the car, but it bit the broom in half. So then the problem was, okay, now I have it in the car, and I didn't have a trunk, so I had it in the hatchback. So then we kept taking the half a broom we still had and kept poking it back into the hatchback so that it didn't get into the driver's seat while we were making the rest of the. It was one of those not a great decision.
Right. There should have been some thought process before that spot instead of when you gave the card to the turtle.
There was not. Then it was like, okay, now I have to get out. But it was so big that it wouldn't fit flat in the hatchback part in the back. It was giant size.
So at least it couldn't drive the car away then, right?
Oh no, it could have gotten it could have reached the pedals and the steering wheel. It could have reached all of that. So okay, let's.
All I could think of was the Mutant Ninja Turtles driving your.
Oh no, yeah, it was. It was not, but they make really tasty soup, and so it's sort of like hunting things. It's how do you decide which things are you? Who's the first person to eat something that was a tasty little animal?
I think you just have to think, wow, how hungry was that guy?
I know. Exactly. It's sort of like oysters. How hungry were you? There you go.
How hungry was that guy?
Right. I'm telling you, it is deer season here. And have you started to watch people harvesting their deer?
No, but I've been seeing that unbelievable amount of people have been running them over with motorcycles this year. So is it the $3.50 gas that's causing that, or is it the late summer season that people have ride their motorcycle later than normal?
Right. I think they're riding the motorcycle later than usual. The weather is so nice. It hasn't salted yet, and now that will change. But most motorcyclists know that once they put the salt on the road, even if it gets nice afterwards, you don't want to subject your wiring and all of that to the salt. But the deer are huge, and they're just looking at you. So I had one standing on a bridge, and he wasn't moving. He's like, I could take your truck, right? So we were having a standoff, and it was like, dude, you need to get off the road. But I had to get to kind of a creep and almost push him.
They're mighty tasty, by the way.
Right. Well, I know, but I do know. I know. So one of these days, I have to take hunter safety. Then I can go hunting, and then I can have the tasty little deer.
Yeah, well, it just if he's gonna play chicken with you in the middle of the bridge,
I don't think you. Well, I came to a stop. I didn't just ram him, right? That's not how that works. He had the bridge first, and I was respectful of that and my bumpers. So he finally moved on, but we'll see what happens to him at some point in the future. If he doesn't have enough sense not to play in the road.
My truck took charge, and it carried a mouthful of that deer hair for about 8 months in the front.
Yeah, years, but he jumped out in front of you. He surprised you. Mine was already standing there saying, I've got this space, and I am not giving it up. So is that, when you're out hunting, is that how they are? Do they just kind of look at you like, screw you, dude?
Most of the time I've ever seen them, they just are standing there looking around for you, and they don't see you until it's too late.
And then there you go. And then you have to haul him out of the woods. Yeah. So the question is, do you want a little one that's still tender, or do you want a big one? So we'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
Okay, so as we were going off air, you were talking about your hunting escapades and the fact that the deer...
Usually if you end up shooting a deer, he somehow invariably knows where your car is, and he runs away from the car and down a hill, so you have to drag him back up the hill to the car.
Okay.
So it's a I don't know, it's an unwritten rule or something, but old people have a hard time with getting that carcass back up the hill. They'll say, "Oh, that deer only weighs 150 pounds." It's like, it's got to be 600 pounds. I just drug it 2 miles. I know it.
I know it's not 150 pounds. And so I have to figure out how to make him. And he hangs up on every twig and branch. So
he looked like a deer when I shot him, but turned out to be a 72 gun safe that I shot in the woods.
Right, or he's got his feet out with the brakes on, no matter whichever way you're trying to pull him, right?
72 gun cannon safe without any hooks on it to help you pull.
That would be. I'm trying to move a barrel, right? I fully get it. So one of these days, there's that between that and the CNJFO folks who do that hog hunt. That would be another thing.
Everybody has a different way of hunting.
Pork,
everybody has a different way of hunting, and if you don't have someone who showed you how to hunt, then you go through a whole bunch of undulations of what's the best way, and sometimes you go a whole year doing nothing but pushing deer to someone else or whatever. Right. If you got a mentor that's going to show you, even if he's old and he's willing to show you, pay attention. And old people got that way because they were smart and yeah. So you. When we were kids, we would go in the woods. We couldn't keep our mouth shut, so we're laughing, telling jokes, yucking it up. And my uncle would go with us, and he would. You boys walk ahead of me about 50, 60 yards, and so we'd be up there like doing 5 minutes at the comedy club, and he's standing behind us. He was smoking cigarettes and just walking along, and he gets a whole bag full of squirrels and nothing flat because they're all crawling around the tree watching us with our antics, and then he shoots them in the back while they're not paying attention.
He's just got them. So it's funny how you just got to be smarter than the squirrel.
There's certain spots where stand hunting is the best. There's sometimes that you do have to push a certain spot of ground, depending on how many people you have and how it works. And then too, if you're a pusher, you got to pay attention because stand guys will shoot you if you act like a deer. So you got to make sure you
got to be bright orange neon.
I went into the woods one time. We were doing a strip mine, and the berries were so thick. I go in there, I had like a full orange suit on, and some other stuff. I had one of these plastic seats hot seats you sit on. By the time I got at the other end, I was pretty much stripped naked from these berry bushes. It had ripped every piece of orange off of me, all of the plastic, and cut the seat and let all the little styrofoam balls out and everything. I mean, it looked like I went through a razor knife factory.
Okay. So we're back to this. Oh, it sounded like so much fun right up till then. Right? I think it's great. I love the whole concept of eating from nature and the organicness of the meat, and nothing's been added to it, nothing's been shot into it. So when people talk about truly eating from nature, I think hunting is like the basis of that.
Right, the shooting part, all that's a minimal part of it. I mean, ideally, you got to have some good marksmanship skills. I mean, you owe it to the animal to have good marksmanship skills.
Correct.
And then you should have good equipment. I mean, if you got really the cheapest gun you can buy and the cheapest bullets you can find, and they don't work or they don't work all the time, it just causes you more problems than not. And but there's more technique to it. Is you can't just say I'm getting up this morning and say I'm going deer hunting. You need to have been in the woods for a couple of months so that you know where the deer hang out, what time they move.
I can tell you which bridge they're on, and the fact.
So I mean, that's the thing. They take a path, and sometimes they'll take that path in the morning. Sometimes they take that path at night. And depending on the time of the year and how the weather is, they don't do it they do it before the sun comes up and after the sun goes down. So it's hard to find them. Then there's certain times that you can actually be in the right spot at the right time. So you just have to.
Well, see, since they walk across right in front of my house, I don't know that's. Because there's neighbors, all of that, but they practically look in the windows.
Right. Well, that's the thing is sometimes because they've been doing that for like 20 generations.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever shot at them, but you shoot at them one time, and all of a sudden they pick a new route, and they never come back past that window.
They never come back past the window.
When we were kids, we used to shoot blackbirds at my uncle's house. I mean, this was in the late 60s, early 70s, and if you go down there today. I mean, nobody shot at them in 40 years. They come down, you can see them coming, they'll spread out, go around the place, and go.
It goes back up.
Yep.
They're
so
like,
they know not to fly over this particular
location. There's a spot where these little jerk kids live that are, that they took my uncle 3 generations back, and I'm.
But it's like, how does that bird know that spot? I mean, how did they mark that, or how did they mark it in their DNA so that they know?
Well, they talk to one another, car.
Yeah, but you'd think at 30, 40 years they would decide to say, we got new stuff to talk about instead of
I don't know. Yeah, I know.
Stupid-looking kid that looked like Charlie Brown was out there shooting at us all the
time. Okay, that does make so much sense, and I don't know. It's crazy how it. Well, but how does so many different animals know where they're migrating to, where they're going to, where they're coming from? How do they get back?
You look at a crow, if you go out in the yard and a crow will be out there, he's fine. You take a gun with you, and he he knows you got the gun as soon as you walk out the door. You can have it hidden, whatever. I don't know if he can smell it or what.
It's hoppies. It's the hoppies. They're tuned to sniff that out.
But it's just funny that the big crows and grackles and that, they just know that you have a gun in that, and they're.
I don't know. So I have. Shh, don't tell him. I got my husband a Christmas present, and so I'm waiting. But I read somewhere, because we have Canadian geese that have taken over the pond. And so we're out there trying to keep the next generation of Canada geese from taking over the pond. And so you're hunting the nests and breaking the eggs and stopping them from procreating in your yard. You can go procreate in somebody else's yard so that goose is implanted in their yard, not in my yard, right? So that has been an ever diligent function. Well, I read that if you have an alligator in your pond, the geese don't come because the alligators in Florida and other places eat them. So if they see an alligator, they're done. They tell all their other goose friends, and they go away.
So would you buy a rubber alligator? Or
I bought him a floaty alligator. I bought him one that just his head that'll float around in the pond. So you just kind of throw it in and it'll float. So
you can get a little motor for it and make an RC car.
Oh, I'm telling you, he could have a ball with that. But right now, we're gonna go with the alligator. So can you imagine his face when he opens that he got an alligator for Christmas? I'm just saying. So, but he doesn't listen, so don't tell him.
So now you can just get him like a wallet and some shoes and
for the rest of it.
But one of those big like a spare tire off the semi tractor that's laying on the side of the road.
Oh, so the whole alligator theme. I could do an entire alligator theme Christmas. It goes with that kind of alligator colored green paint that I just had to patch in the living room.
The funny part is he would take that spare tire part and make something out of it when you bought it. That would be the hit of Christmas. The rest of the stuff he just leaves sitting. He'd be out in the workshop.
Remember the year with the gift of the potato gun, and he was on the roof with the potato gun and the potatoes and the hairspray and the lighter. So yes, I'm just gonna say yes. The neighbors love us. That's all I got to say. Is the neighbors absolutely
sometimes
love us.
It's the simplest gift that makes the best one.
something like that. There's.
It's like the grandkids. You go buy them something nice and they play with the box for 2 hours until the box is disintegrated. Then they start playing with the toy.
Then they'll move on to the toy. Speaking of your grandkids, they're starting to get to an age where hunter safety may be the thing. So is Grandpa going to take them out to the woods? Is he going to take them to hunter safety? Is he going to teach them how to do this?
Grandpa's old and crabby.
Well, there is that. I got nothing on that. I got no rebuttal at all on it.
I'll show them how to shoot groundhogs all summer long because it's an easy sport. You lay on your stomach and eat most of the day while you're.
So I'll see the geese. So one of my listeners, it says you'll see the geese riding on the gator with the remote control. Right there you go. So now I got a motorized goose with something, or the goose is just going to take the gator down. Because have you ever been attacked by a goose? Those are mean.
When we were kids, my mom got on the wrong end of a big Chinese goose, the one with the big knob on its head,
Mm-hmm.
and it started to get belligerent, so she grabbed for it and it knocked her out.
I was in Maryland in a business suit and high heels and a briefcase when one attacked me. And so I'm like holding the briefcase like it's a shield in front of me, smacking at him, trying to keep him from pecking me. As I backed up in my high heels, I thought this is going to end very badly here in the pavement on the parking lot. We'll be right back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, so let's start talking. Oh, sigh. Let's just start talking politics. That's it. So we don't know yet who
So
has.
much for the red wave, eh?
We don't know who has control of the House. We don't know who has control of the Senate.
Last month, we didn't know who had control of the House or the Senate or the President, any of that stuff. I mean, we surmised, but we're probably wrong. It's not getting any better for us, folks.
It's that same. Goodness, I'm going to get the hiccups. I don't know what that is. This is going to be bad.
Well, that'll make it for interesting radio.
Oh, man, because I have horrible hiccups. It's a horrible, it's embarrassing, horrible hiccups. But, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, anyhow, Boberg's, she's like in a razor thin thing. They have a whole bunch of.
Right? So, right now, there's what, 21 different House, House representatives folks who have not yet locked in their races.
But it was funny because they're saying, well, they have like I don't remember what it was, like 300,000 votes that hadn't been counted yet.
Mhm.
But she was within like 70 votes of the other guy.
Right.
So they're saying, oh well, he's going to win. It's like, how do they know if there's 300,000 people that's going?
Right. It's really interesting. So you watch that whole. Well, in some cases they do know. It's like if the votes came from a specific district and they know historically where that district votes and what the percentages are. I mean, they don't know, but they sort of know. That's where some places can call an election at 60%.
Look at New York, though. Do you see where almost every one of the Democrats that have actually been in office had got a new address this year, and so they almost all lost their seat because nobody knows who they were.
The whole redistricting thing the redistricting has affected a lot of the states and a lot of the politics. So that was a piece of it. And the redistricting was late and kind of really wonky because of the census was late. And so things where people are like, this is business as usual, it wasn't. They were like paddling their little duck feet really, really fast. So there's that. The one I want to talk about that took days and days to figure out was a bill, and that was that Oregon, I think it's 114. So I think it's House bill, but it's 114. And the 114 gives them the FOID card. It gives them some additional training restrictions. And so 114.1, not on a good side, but it passed with a really, really slim margin. So now the question is, I think you've got a story over there somewhere for 114. The other thing that was about 114 is that Second Amendment Foundation has just submitted it's a tweet. So they just tweeted this, that the first draft of our complaint has been written. We're still adding plaintiffs to the suit and will be ready to pounce, said Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation based in Bellevue, Washington. So
from what I've seen of it before the election, it loaded a lot of stuff on the police departments. So everyone has to go and shoot with the local police. Well, the local police don't have a place for them to shoot, let alone having all the citizens come to shoot with them.
And to have police to be there to monitor it. And so is it police after hours or on hours or the real issue, the thing that they sold the community bill of goods that this will make the community safer. I got one thing. Do you know who doesn't use their FOID code? Do you know who doesn't do the waiting? You know who doesn't do the training? Criminals. You know how they get their guns? They take yours. So the question becomes, how is this going to help anybody? It's going to take those people who are threatened, who are attacked, who are stalked, and they're going to restrict their abilities of how they can defend themselves. And so this is that statement that says that you only get to pick the tool of self-defense and the training that you've got with it should the government allow. And so that's it. So in Oregon, they voted away their civil rights, but we're waiting for the Second Amendment Foundation to come to the rescue. We're waiting for the NRA to come to the rescue. We are waiting for court cases, though they have to have people to stand in those court cases and money to pay for those court cases, that then they'll use Bruin to help define it. So if you are doing anything, look to those organizations, make a donation. Look to your friends who are living in that community, that impacted community, and see if they have standing, because that combination of things is really where it's going to be. So one of
you could have a cool court case named after you.
You could, or the poor dude. I mean, I really kind of feel sorry for the prosecutor Bruin because he lost. And they rub his face in it every day because they named it as they gleefully tap dance.
He gets what he deserves. That's what it
they
is.
Gleefully tap dance on him, right?
If you go against the Constitution, your name should be Mud.
There you go. And it's, in this case, it's Bruin. So there's an article on Tom Knighton had written in Bearing Arms. And I love Tom Knighton. Absolutely. So if you go to Bearing Arms, look for Tom Knighton's articles and read them. He's so common sense, absolutely so common sense. But he says, and this is where it is. He says, I think it's hilarious that people who think photo ID is too difficult for a poor person to obtain in order to vote, but see it as absolutely no problem in requiring one in order to buy a firearm in accordance to the Second Amendment. Both of those things should match and make it so you can't say it's too hard to get an ID for one and not so hard to get to the other. And then when you add other things on top of that, so here's your Second Amendment right to have a firearm, and we're going to put restrictions. So should it be voting, if we use that comparison, then that means that in order to vote, you have to take a history class. You have to be up to date on all of that. And then you have to have a card in addition to your ID. So it really is the case of it deters a lot of people and it makes it harder.
If you go back and read about the gun control stuff that they tried back in the day, where they set out special laws, everything like this, every one of those led them to the fact that the poor were the target of their... So they were keeping the guy who could barely afford a gun from getting a gun because... They kept trying to make the quality better. They tried to make it so that you were getting a target quality pistol for a budget price, I guess.
Right. And so they just jacked the price up on the budget ones to meet the price.
Right. Or the ones that were so chintzy, they made them stop manufacturing them, so only the next step up was available.
I mean, there are people that this is they live in a community where they need a gun. I mean, don't we all? And they yet at the same time struggle financially with everything. And so if they save up, when they save up and they can afford one, but now they've added all of these additional hoops to jump through. Though we encourage firearms training and we encourage education and we encourage firearms knowledge, mandating it and making it a legal standard is a problem, because then really trying to define what is good training versus what is bad training, we've all been in that kind of bad training. I had a dude try to teach me how to do the combat crouch, and so when I said, okay, where's my center of gravity and where do I put my butt, he didn't have an answer. It probably had something to do with the fact that I was standing in front of the class with it sticking out, tucking in, trying to say, where exactly does it go?
Most people are for profit, and very few are willing to do it for free. So Rick Ector's program is a big plus to the community when you can come for no cost. And
that's it in Detroit. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing, to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is a vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did we talk about this court case in Columbus last week?
We talked about whether the judge had put a stay on the preemption of Ohio, and so Columbus was going to jump on and put some laws in place that affected the little guy. And
I couldn't remember because there's a court case in Columbus.
Apparently, Dave Yost, our Attorney General, has put his 2 cents in, and it made the judge back down from that, and so.
Well, what's really interesting was the fact that we talked about it. Then on Monday night, I was on the Polite Society podcast, and we had Dean Reek from the director of Buckeye Firearms in Ohio here to talk about it. And then on Wednesday, I was on the Second Amendment Foundation's Daily Bullet with Paul Lathrop. And so by back to Sunday again, I couldn't remember which ones we exactly talked about. But so for
somewhere apparently the Attorney General's listening to the radio or something, and told the judge that he doesn't believe that the preemption is going to allow them to play that game. So he put a stay on his stay.
So what's really funny was the judge took 3 years to make a decision on this case, and he made the decision, and then a week later he puts a stay on his decision. But in the meantime, the case is really about Ohio has a preemption law, and so let's talk about preemption.
Well, it just makes it so that the state's not a patchwork of gun laws. Every city has to play by the same rules the state as a whole plays by, and so one can't just have a random law that's no one else knows about, and all of a sudden you're a lawbreaker because of the fact that
because of that. So this judge then decided in this case that wasn't the case. The preemption didn't really mean that. And so he decided for Columbus, who was then allowed to make their own laws.
The funny part is Columbus was wanting to pass 3 laws. One was a straw purchase law, which is already illegal. One is safe storage, so that if your kids are around, they can't get the gun. And the other is about ammunition magazine capacity. So it says large caliber ammunition capacity. So I don't know what large caliber means to them. But anyhow, they were going to limit it out at 30 rounds, which.
Now, and then the funny part was that Dean Reek from Buckeye said that, really what the judge had determined was and had limited and had released was that the city of Columbus proper was allowed to determine zoning things like could a gun range go in and could a gun manufacturer go in, and so that it was a zoning only type law. Well, the lawyer for Columbus is like, oh no, yeehaw, we are going to pass an AR-15 ban, we're going to ban this, we're going to ban that, we're going to jump on all of this kind of stuff. And then
Ohio for years has had a 32 round magazine ban. 32 was legal, 33 was not. Apparently when guys come home from World War I with their Luger snail drum magazines, they figured that was as much bullets as anybody could ever imagine putting into something. So that's where they drew the line. And so it was a couple years ago, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago, that they've taken that law away and just put it with the standard government issue, whatever the federal limits were, which I don't think it has a limit.
Well, what's really interesting is that if you are back to politics, if you're paying any attention to what happened in the state of Ohio, pretty much Ohio and Florida had, if there was a red wave or at least a red wiggle in the water surface, Ohio had it. They won the majority of their congressional seats, went to the Republicans. Their Senate seat went to a Republican. The governor, the attorney general, the secretary of state.
I know locally, we only had one judge that didn't actually win, and like he says, he doesn't really care because just the getting his name out there has made such a big
difference in his
business that he couldn't buy advertising like that anywhere else.
Well, there is that, and he's working on name recognition, so he is more than doubled. So he's running in races, and he went from 7,000 votes the last election to more than 18,000 plus this election. So he's really building his name, but it's really interesting. So here's this judge and here's this prosecutor who is very much trying to take Columbus more toward the left.
All this stuff is going away, and it's. I mean, I watch as they keep passing new laws, but they can't meet the qualifications of Bruin, so
they don't stand.
So they won't stand, but they do keep lawyers in business, and both teams have to pay a lot of money to make it happen.
There is, and that's, I think that's the big thing is that there is no place and nothing that has to check first to make sure that it's constitutional before they put it to the people to pass it, before they try to make it into a law or a decision. Is they'll do that later.
Well, he put it in. It says it had to be 1797 or 1791 or something.
1791.
So those gun laws should be written somewhere. And
history, text, and tradition.
Everybody should be able to get a copy of that, so they have it right there.
Are you saying they should have to do their homework prior
to? Where's their paralegals or whatever? I mean, there should be a list of said this is what it was.
But they will pass.
I can't be more than about 10 laws in total.
But it is the standard of how we go about doing all of the stuff that you'll see.
Well, I'm seeing this marijuana stuff coming through, and they're going to lose also, because even back in the old days, 1791, it was not illegal for you to be a drunk and have a gun. It was illegal for you to be drunk and have a gun, but it wasn't illegal for you to be a drunk. And so they can't really say that if you want to have marijuana, a medical marijuana card, that you can't have a gun. And they're going to find out that there's a lot of, they're going to open some doors that they're not going to want to have opened right now.
They're going to be like, oh, close that. Nope, it doesn't, right? Nope.
I mean, I watch a lot of people beating this drum about constitutional conventions and so like this. And you stand to lose things when you open this box, and it's like, do you trust the nitwit you're going to put in charge of this?
Because people are like, oh no, we're only going to talk about one issue. Right.
Yeah, but it's your one issue, and he's got one issue, and that guy's got one issue. Pretty soon, now you can only buy blue cars because somebody had an issue with it.
I'm just going to say, ask Pandora how that turned out.
So yeah, sometimes you're best stuck with what you have. It may not be what you wanted, but I mean, peanut butter sandwich ain't that bad.
Yeah, well, there is. I'm so glad you only said peanut butter. I'm glad, because there's this quote that it just is that after a while eating the same sandwich, you get used to it, if you know what I mean. So that's a quote that comes out of Rob's pocket periodically. So,
but the thing is if you look at, I mean, taking your lunch right now, there has a big listeria scare in the country. So if you're playing Russian roulette to have a lunch meat sandwich, they're saying now. So depending on how tough you're.
Right, except there's so many schools won't let you have a peanut butter sandwich.
Right. So
we're going to make the entire school peanut butter free. And I got that there are people with allergies. So the question is,
that all came about with the same stuff as let's give you another injection. We'll cure that stuff from you.
I don't know what is during it, or was it that prior to this, the people who had peanut butter allergies
They killed them off when they were little, and nobody heard about it.
They ate peanut butter, and then they're gone, and so we never.
They outgrew it, and so you sweat that rash out.
I don't know, one of the two, but so C&T Design say that any lawmaker who tries to pass unconstitutional laws should be removed from office and never be allowed to hold office again. I concur. I mean,
believe that they used to call that public whipping, but I'm not.
Tar and feathers, rode out of town on a rail. There was a couple different options.
Well, it's a slippery slope, I think. You start out with the whippings, and then you get the tar and the feather. Then you get tied onto the rail and drug out of town and threw out in the ditch somewhere.
Okay, maybe.
For the next time to deal with you.
I mean, Goldfinger, I'm not sure you're going to survive the tar and feathering. I think that
that was the general idea, is you didn't.
Yeah, your skin doesn't breathe. Okay. We'll be back right after this.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so what you got else that is that's news and timely and topical?
There's a guy who bought a gun from a big box store, a used gun, and he got stopped by the police, and the police ran the serial number, and it come back as stolen. So then they immediately handcuffed him and went through all the stuff, and then luckily the officer believed his story. So when they got back to the station, he let him use the phone to call the big box store that they bought it from and had them send over the information to prove that he did buy it.
He's like, really, dude, I did buy it at this store, right?
But they said, the article goes on to tell about the fact that there's no way for a gun shop to run that serial number to see if it's stolen or not.
Mm-hmm.
They said some pawn shops can get the police to do that for them, but the regular gun shop that's doing a high volume can't.
Well, and we've talked about this a little bit because the question really becomes who puts it in, who takes it out. So if it's stolen and then it's recovered, does it ever get taken back off the stolen list?
Right. I mean, and that's the thing with this. It could have been stolen and recovered, and then the guys traded it in for something else because.
Then it was, but it was in the stolen. Yeah.
It's hard to say what the real story is, but that's the thing is that everybody's a criminal. Face the facts, but they're saying.
Well, it's interesting is that the gun owner dude, he sues the big box store because he says that their failure led him to being humiliated. So that was his claim was I was humiliated.
Well, I mean, he could have been shot dead. Depending on everybody's attitude.
Yeah, my life was potentially in jeopardy, and I was marked as a criminal. Right? There's no doubt about it. And but it's just an interesting conundrum of things. The other part. My dad collected Ruger 357 Magnum pistols for years and years, and there's occasionally they'll send in for a factory letter to. Find out what the gun was, what it
original
like
configuration was, or when it was shipped out of the factory or whatever, and then they'll find out that there may have been two guns with the same serial number, or sometimes one guy will buy a gun at one gun show, and 5 years later he buys another gun that has almost the same serial number. When he gets home, and find out he does have the same serial number. They normally just send one back to the factory and have it marked with a D as a duplicate. I have seen one where the guy had them both sent back and he had an R and an L stamped on them to make them different. So he had a right and a left-handed one.
Serial number one. But it's like, here, I'm going to give you an opportunity to fix this. So here, fix this.
But I mean, even the factory sometimes may have overstamped or something. So you never know what the deal is. There could be more than one gun with that serial number. And you can't, I mean, up until 1968, they just put it on there for their own personal reason. After that, were they any more careful?
Well, yeah, because there's logbooks and such. So it's a whole lot more careful because you've only got one slot.
But you still got nitwits that are running the show. In
right,
some
except
cases.
that they're having a hard time shoving 2 pounds of peanut butter in a 1 pound jar because there's only one slot to be able to put that in.
Sometimes, it's already in here, so we just forget it and ship it out anyhow. So.
Okay. Got it. I am.
Somebody already did my work for me. I don't have to put anything in there.
It's already logged, right? Move on. Yeah. No, I don't.
It's hard to say. I mean, the human beast is a lazy beast. I can say that for it. So if there's an opportunity for something to happen that you didn't have to do it, then it's all good.
Right. Well, okay. Not wrong. Absolutely not wrong. But see, I thought you were going to take this story in a whole different direction. And that whole different direction is, think about if this guy had bought this gun instead from a private seller off of Facebook where he drove over to the house, even if the two of them met at the sheriff's department parking lot to do the transfer, right? Even if you looked at the dude's concealed carry license, so the dude was legally allowed to own one when he sold it, all of a sudden he would have no recourse, no argument. So
well, what they say is a lot of times it's just you end up forfeiting your stuff. So if you paid $400 or $500 for that, you just forfeit, and then sometimes too that it's against the law, so you could actually go to jail.
That's the thing. Is the other thing, the $400 or $500 is
on this here, because this big box store has the information where they got the gun from. It doesn't say anything about the fact that they went back through and went to find the guy who sold them the stolen gun to transfer it back.
And it should have, because
it says that they actually bought that gun twice and resold it. So somewhere they need to go back through and find out.
And they say it in italics, like that's an oddity. Let me tell you, having owned a gun shop, there were a lot of people who would own a gun for 72 hours, for 3 weeks, for 10 weeks.
Come in and trade it in on something different. I mean, I had one guy who he didn't have a hobby, so he would buy a gun. Then he would buy every piece that you could buy for that gun from the online stores. And he put new sights and new grips and new this, that, the other thing. He polished every part of it. And and then he would come in, trade it in, get another one that was just plain Jane, and then take it home and do all the stuff.
I remember when we had a customer who for some reason he'd look at his gun and say, this one needs to be blue. And so he got Rust-Oleum blue and he painted it. And he painted one red, and he just painted them like badly, but and bright colors. They were ugly. Their resale value.
How can you say a Rust-Oleum Ford blue PPK, stainless steel PPK, is ugly?
Oh, it was ugly. So we have this ugly Rust-Oleum blue gun in the counter, and so your guy, the board guy, he was like, bonus, look at that. so he buys the gun to take it home and strip it and scrub it,
and put
scrubbed
it back in brake fluid and everything, and removed all the paint and
put
everything,
it back in original condition. Then he came back and bought the red one, right? And to him, that was like and he made good money doing it, because they were priced so low because they were so badly mistreated looking that it was entertaining. But back to, so one, selling it twice is not an anomaly, but think about where you're buying your guns and making sure that you have some kind of receipt and being able to track down the person who sold it to you. Because if you're in jail and you have to be able to say, here's this. We'll be back. We'll talk about it some more.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so as we were leaving for the last
Well, what I was saying is this stolen gun thing or the numbers. I mean, everybody's played with a keyboard enough to know that if you're inputting data, 7997 looks just like 7797. It's pretty soon you start getting cross-eyed and you punch in the wrong number. So who's to say that the police don't have the wrong number in their system? And this guy just got picked on.
And then you get to go on a ride in a police car and
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that you can't trust the numbers, so it's a little bit of all of that. I mean, but that is that thing where they say that, like 100% inspection is only 90% valid. So that's, all it's so
all of that.
And they tell you, well, I've had the gun for 40 years and they tell me it was stolen 8 years ago. Something's up with that.
But I keep a little book for all of the guns that should I die, somebody's just going to take my book and burn it. But I keep it to where it's where I got my gun, where if I sold it, and that's where, when I say I sold my gun, my video producer grasps his heart and does this thing where he's like, what do you mean sold? What does that word mean? And how does it apply to guns? But sometimes a gun needs to be sold. It's just off with its head. It's not worthy to stay in.
Right, I mean,
they
sometimes
teach
you
bad
really
things.
You got no problem with the gun itself, so you just put it away because you get out later and play with it. But sometimes you just don't like that gun.
I don't like
There's
it.
something about it. It kicks funny, or my kid had a rifle, and when it fired, it would like twist over, and so it punched you in the side of the head enough that his eye would swell shut. So he said that he didn't like that, so he got rid of it. So
right, there's sometimes that they just have bad behaviors that don't fit you. Some people have you. have that fat little thing on your hand to where that.
Oh, Browning High Power or Walter PPK, I bleed all over the place when I'm shooting. And the fat in my hand gets sucked down inside the pistol, and then it starts shaving off chunks.
Just a little bit until it bleeds, and then you got to put a Band-Aid on it. Right. So there's different things. So it's not that there's anything wrong with the gun, and someone with skinnier hands will just say, me, that gun fits fine. Somebody with chubbier hands will say, him. Maybe not, but there's sometimes there's reasons why it just doesn't get to stay in the safe. It's gotta go. But I keep back to the point. I keep a book, and that book says where it came from and where it went. But when you're selling to private citizens, there's a point where people don't want to give you their ID and say, well, here, if you bought it at a gun show, let's say, and the gun show guy at his table doesn't want to say, here's my home address in case you want to come and rob me.
Right. And I've seen that, but also, I can remember back in the 60s buying stuff, and I've got everybody's social security number carved on the side of it. You got any old guns that got somebody's social security number on it?
I do not.
I'm sure I have 4 or 5 of them that's got somebody's...
Well, they used to tell you to put your social security number on your TV because when somebody steals it, you can get it back.
Well, same thing. A lot of times, either under the grip, on the butt plate, or sometimes just carved right in the side is a social security number.
Yeah.
And it's unsightly, but it really doesn't affect anything. But
it still works.
Now that there's whatever, you got to pay somebody to watch your.
All your. Yes, your LifeLock.
Yeah, you got to pay LifeLock. You don't want to be putting your social security number on your gun and then selling it at the local gun show.
No. No. I mean, so.
That's got to give the LifeLock guy a little bit of a heart palpitations.
Right, they get your gun and your identity and your address, and it's sort of like giving your concealed carry gun to the valet with the valet key.
I bought guns before that had hunting licenses in the butt stock, so I give the guy's name, address, all this stuff. I got some that's got all the information written inside the butt plate. And, they got like a little white plastic tag in there,
that's
the white stripe.
The white stripe.
So they just wrote on that or something, and
I don't get it. I mean, my husband does that to the Tupperware, but not to the guns.
But sometimes you find, I don't know how many of you buy a gun and take it all apart because you find money in them, you find all kinds of stuff hidden inside.
Okay, nope. See, I don't buy Webleys and things that were made 150 years ago.
I bought an old shotgun one time, and it was heavy as could be, and I took the buttstock off, and here inside was a piece of copper tubing. It was about 10 inches long that they had put caps on it and filled it full of lead and then shoved it up in that stock to try to keep it from beating them senseless.
So they made the gun. They made the gun heavy. You could carry the gun, but it didn't beat on you nearly as badly. Well, and that makes sense, but it's kind of unique. And you'd be like, we're gonna send a message back to John Browning that this is how you do that, right?
Yeah, I melted the lead out of there and made bullets from a muzzle loader with it. So.
Yep. So that makes sense. So Pete from Juab says you can make up a unique mark and use it on all your guns. Easy to prove in court. If you look under the handguard, you will find X, Y, and Z.
And then somebody 100 years later is trying to find this proof mark to see what this
is. But Pete's famous enough, it'll be that. So it'll be like that's
keystone with the heart on the top. It's like, what's that mean? And so
Pete.
then in five different Facebook forums, they're all searching to see what that could be.
To find out where that is exactly. Now, see, I, on the other hand, look at it to say, I just take my gun and take a picture of it. Now I have a picture of the serial number and all that, and you have to actually have it to be able to have that. But there's that, and my little logbook of where I got it and where I sold it, and I also have a theory that I put like all of the personal information. So on the front's the serial number of the gun, where I got it, and if I sell it, where I sold it. But like what it's valued at or what I paid for it, all that stuff.
I try not to make a fuss so that down the road when somebody disappears, they don't look in my direction because they were found with my old gun. So
Well, it's possible, since it's on a spiral bound book, you could just pull out a page. And
yeah,
as long as you don't
one
number
time
your page.
a shotgun was stolen from my dad's house, and
Right.
I took my book to the sheriff's department, and they didn't really want to take a copy of the page because of the fact that there was so much stuff on the page. So they ended up having to like tape
Black
some
out
stuff
the rest
over it, just so they had the one entry in there, so that they
Exactly. So I do a page for each one, so you can just fold it back and there. It's that and that only. But I'm strongly suggesting that you keep some kind of record so that you know where you got it and how you got rid of
Or
it.
just buy a lot of them so that when you're missing one, you're not missing one.
You don't know. No. No, you still, because it's like, oh, that was my favorite one of those. I had that,
It's funny how that works, though. You buy 5 of something, and
They're not the same.
Right, this one works great. The other ones are okay, but they're not this one.
One is the cat's pajamas, and I learned that with my
It's like
parent
having
ordinance.
4 four-wheel drive trucks. One of them gets good mileage and is comfortable to drive, and the other 3 not so much.
They're just trucks, right? And it's like, yeah. So no, I bought a pair of ordnance like that, and I loved it. Loved it. It is amazing. And I've let people shoot it, and they want to buy it, and I say no. So when I saw ones like it, I would buy them and say, here, I now have one if you want it. None of them compare to the mine. None. The triggers aren't the same. They are.
What's that old saying about this is my gun? There's many
others
like it, but this one is mine.
And that's, let me tell you, with this pair of ordnance, that is exactly it. There are many like it. They look the same. Other people could. It's sort of like having twins.
It was funny. We
only
were at
its
Jeff
mother.
Cooper's, and he had one just like yours. And you were like, "Woo, look at that!"
Right, but yes, but it's still, and they wouldn't let me touch it. But okay, that's okay.
His was in a glass case, so I doubt that he liked it as much as he liked
That
the
I
rest
like
of them.
mine,
Otherwise,
right.
he would have had it out shooting it.
Right, and not in the glass case. Yeah.
It was funny
I
because
get
they said
too.
that he had a 3-wheeler that he had a custom. The throttle was moved to the other hand, so that as he was driving through the desert, he could
You
shoot
could drive
things.
and shoot, and you were like, "That is an idea."
Wouldn't have to let off the gas to shoot.
No,
just keep on.
the thing is, when they said that, I have a friend who lost his arm, and he rode motorcycles, so he switched everything over to one hand. Let me tell you, there is no two-handed rider who could ride his machine. You would kill yourself because now everything is not the
So
way.
you're trying to give it the gas and let go of the clutch at the same time, and
Yeah. I'm just going to say that three-wheeler is probably, they would name it something, that's-
Widowmaker.
right, the bucking bronco of some sort. We'll do some kind of a rodeo theme name for it, simply because everybody else except for Papa is going to be pitched off and ground into the dirt. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind.
So anyhow, here's with this red wave that we're talking about. Joe Biden he started to act like the mean grandpa he tries to pull off once in a while, and he's going to ban assault weapons. He says now that he's empowered.
Okay. So.
You don't sound like you believe that.
No. I'm in the whole big thing of he's not going to do it. He's not going to be successful in doing it. He doesn't realize that Democrats also own guns, and that the Second Amendment.
He's thinking that he's got a lead in the House and the Senate. So
I think it's going to be all tied, and it's like this big teeter-totter thing, and Joe Manchin is going to be way more in power than anybody ever thought. And that West
they hate his
Virginia
coal.
and West Virginia is going to get everything they want. That's what I think is going to happen, but that's just me, and we'll find out. But we'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so Pete from GWeb says that the last two gun controls we got this year, 18 to 21-year-olds, no more guns, funding, Bloomberg gun safety, blah, blah, blah. With the help of a few Republicans and all the Democrats, we've already seen them both submit to the anti-guns. Yeah, there is that. I mean, they will definitely roll over if we don't continue to put the pressure on, and we have to continue. Every gun owner has to continue to put the pressure on and say, this is my Second Amendment.
We are winning, but if we allow them to keep pushing us, we'll give up those rights again. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that
and we are winning. So this is where we're winning, and people are like, well, maybe we ought to compromise on this, maybe we ought to compromise on that. No,
we're winning. So let them compromise
and
themselves.
We really are. I mean, Iowa did it right. So one of the things that Iowa did was said, well, if those spineless sea creatures from DC, if they continue to do what they're doing, and that we're going to make it very clear that Iowa has a Second Amendment. And so they ratified the newest amendment to Iowa's Constitution, and this is the words, and the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Is that familiar? Huh? You've heard that somewhere, no?
The big thing you hear with this, though, is that they put it in their Constitution, but when you look at how the federal drug laws, marijuana, and all this stuff, it seems like if the feds say something, all of a sudden everybody just forgets what the state constitution says.
They just roll over and say, "Rub my belly," right? And that's
so
you're
we
right.
had heard a lot of stuff about different states doing a sanctuary state type thing, and that Ohio tried it; they didn't get that.
They didn't pass it. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly what that's going to do for you, or if you got to just rely on whether your senators and congressmen have enough hair on their rear end to
I knew you were going there.
Fight that off.
But when they really talk about like the sanctuary stuff, it says, okay, here's the deal. When you send feds to our city, we're not helping. We're not going to stop what we're doing, and we're not going to give you officers. We're not going to give you resources, and we're not going to give you an office, and we're not helping. Because it used to be non-sanctuary that the feds, all it took was the feds to send one guy, and then they could get 40 of the county resources or the city resources or the state resources. And so they had a team when the feds payroll was one guy. So those have seemed to be working well. I would love to see us have an IRS sanctuary state so that they have to send all 87,000 IRS agents all at one time.
Well, and some of the stuff you're seeing with the NATO and all this, where they're bringing in, our Army has rules that they're not allowed to operate on our soil, but NATO doesn't have those rules. And so if you have a ton of soldiers from wherever it is, Argentina, Yugoslavia, whatever, in your backyard, those guys don't play by the same rules as the others. And so does people pay attention to that, or are we somewhat oblivious to the fact that we're moving more and more of these aliens into our area?
That is a place to be very aware of.
It's kind of funny. I mean, my tinfoil hat guys, they got all kinds of things going on. But I mean, there's a huge piles of Chinese soldiers in China or in Canada. There's also a lot off the southern point of Key West and stuff like this. So, what are they doing there? Why do we need 65,000 troops or something just over the border?
Don't know. I do not know. And that is a
there
spot
too.
where-
I'm only hearing that from guys in tinfoil fedoras, so you can't trust them. You know how they are.
Well, sometimes sometimes there's a bit of truth in there, and sometimes they saw three Chinese guys training in the Canadian Mounted Police.
Well, it was funny because a couple years ago there was a report that there was 5,000 were killed in a cave-in on the main Canada border, and then the regular news only covers that there was an earthquake on the main Canada border instead of an explosion underground that caused this earthquake.
Caused the earthquake. And so you never know. Well,
You get part of a story, but what was the whole story? And was it a true story, or
did somebody make it up? I mean, we both know people who make up stuff
the
on
funny
the
part
internet.
is I heard the 5,000 killed in the cave-in 2 weeks before they admitted to the
earthquake. I do not know. Well, I have to say that you fill me in on tinfoil hat stuff a lot. So your tinfoil hats told me about the Bitcoin company that was going under, and all of their donations that they made prior to going under. And well, today on Twitter, so you told me on Friday, today on Twitter, people are losing their minds. so I'm like, yep, I heard that from the tinfoil folks. And so there are little bits of truth in a lot of this stuff. And so you can't ignore it all, but you can't react to it all either.
But
you've got to try to sort through it and say, when the news people say this, what do they really mean? I mean, it's sort of like watching the Weather Channel right now. They're like, oh my God, Jim Cantori's in Daytona Beach. You better get out.
Bad things are going to happen.
Right.
But that's the thing too. Some of that stuff, I mean, like Alex Jones for years has always been way ahead of the curve on everybody's news. So he's usually 3-4 months ahead of what's going on. And
now he's in so much trouble that.
But now, he's still right. He's just he's just so far out there that nobody believes him anymore. But if you look at his record, he's got a very good record of.
But some of it is that Alex Jones also centered himself with people or surrounded himself with people who were just whack jobs.
Years ago, I used to drive a truck, so I was sitting in the truck all day long. So I would listen to NPR in the morning, and then I would listen to Rush Limbaugh when they come on at like 11 o'clock. And between the two of them, you got the national news about a week early. I mean, the one guy would be complaining about the other guy, and then the other guy would be complaining about the other guy. And then a week later, ABC or NBC would tell you what the story was.
Or what they wanted the story to be.
So it was somewhere between the two of them, but not the same story you heard from either side.
And I think that's kind of the case on.
What's that old game they used to tell you about at the campfire where you whisper in your guy's ear and then he whispers in the next guy, and by the time it comes back around, the stories change, people that has talked about change.
There is that piece to it. I think about the one where there's the commercial that says there's a guy and he says, and he tells two friends, and now there's two pictures, and then they tell two friends, and now there's and it just starts to multiply. That's where I hear it, and I see it in my mind's eye when you see this social media stuff, and it's like, how far did it spread? Where did it go? Where was the root? And what was really the root information? And sometimes if you can ferret that out, you can find out whether it was a good thing, it was a bad thing, it was just a thing, and how that applies to us, because there's so much, and there's so many people that have agendas to all of this. If you are against guns, there's money in it. If you're for guns, there's money in it. So you want to see who and where. That's probably going to be my favorite quote.
You have to find that movie with Eddie Murphy. It's a funny movie.
There you go. So because one way or another. So folks, we'll catch you again next week. So thanks for tuning in to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda. See ya.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. Realize FAC